Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Jewel, also known as Mr. Pristine. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Pristine Tech. Today, I've got a very interesting topic. To me, this topic is like talking about presidential candidate politics. Um, I've gotten into some very heated discussions, and not necessarily on my behalf, but other people really feel strongly and passionate about um, phones that they decide to commit to and phones that they feel are the best in the business. So I want to title this video Apple versus Android. Which do you choose and why? Now, I happen to like both operating systems. So I feel like I'm coming from a very unbiased approach. There are some things that I like about Android, and there are things that I like about iOS, Apple. Um, I feel like I'm more of an Android enthusiast, but I do like both operating systems. And so, as I go down my little list of likes and dislikes for both operating systems, I feel like you'll begin to understand why I would ride more so with Android and why I use more Android devices over Apple devices. Um, I've talked to a lot of different people about this particular topic. And I mean, pretty much wherever you go, I mean, wherever you look, left, right, up, down. I mean, everybody's on their phones. I mean, we live in a very technical world these days, and all you see is lots of iPhones and lots of Android phones. And so, just for the sake of conversation, what I'll do is I've talked to a lot of people that I know that have, the different devices. I've even gone so far as to just on the train ride home from work, or just being at work and just seeing people on their phone, and somebody may have an iPhone, and I'll just stop and ask them, hey, what do you like about that? Or they'll have an Android phone, and I'll ask them the same thing, and I just kind of make a mental note of what it is that they tell me. Um, so I'm just gonna go into some things that I like about my likes and dislikes about both operating systems, and then this is a discussion video. And so what I'm looking to get is to draw you guys into the discussion to let me know what it is that you guys think about the different operating systems, why you chose the particular device and the operating system that you chose, and why. So let's start off with Apple. Now, what I did was I made a list. I mean, so I'm looking at you guys. I don't want you to think that I'm not paying attention, but what I did was I made a sheet, and I put, Apple on one side of the sheet, Android on the other side of the sheet. My Apple likes and dislikes, my Android likes and dislikes. Okay, so we're going to start off with Apple. Okay. Some of the main things that I like about iPhones. I like the simplicity of iPhones. iPhones are very simple to use. I like the fact that Apple is very direct and to the point with how to use their devices. There's not much of a learning curve. I mean, I really feel like I can give my grandmother, who is got to be one of the most non-tech savvy persons that there is on this planet. I feel like I can give her an iPhone and she'd be able to figure that out before she'd be able to figure out an Android device. So I like Apple for the simplicity, and I know a lot of people like it for that very reason as well. I mean, that seemed to be like one of the main things that people talked about when I asked them, what is some of the main things that you like about your iPhone? Okay. Now, number two, again, these are all my opinion, but I'm looking for you guys to, challenge me wherever you feel you need to, or, if there's something that I left out that should have been added, then hit me up in the comments. Like I said, this is strictly for discussion. The second thing that I really like about iPhones, FaceTime. I really like that feature. It's a very nice feature to have, and I know that there's a lot of different apps that that tend to mimic FaceTime. I mean, you've got apps like Tango and Ebo, but those things, they don't work as seamless as two people who have an iPhone utilizing that technology. It's a different experience when it's a feature that's integrated within the device as opposed to it being a third party. Um, so FaceTime, that was a genius move by Apple. I like FaceTime. Uh, Number three, for me, one of the main things that I like about iPhones, I like voice text. I love that feature. Just the fact that you're able to just hold down a button, record a text message. You may be driving or something, and you may not have the ability to, stop and get the device in your hands and text, whether it be with two hands or one hand. You can just simply hold down the record button, say what you got to say, and send it. And the other person on the other phone, they'll be able to listen to the message and either respond via text or respond with their voice. Um, Again, I believe that there are other third-party apps that do this, but again, there's nothing like it being integrated within the phone. I think that it just makes that experience that much more seamless. Okay. Um, Now, another thing that I like about iPhones, I am an absolute music freak. Anybody that knows me, they know that I'm all about my music. I am all over the place with music. I listen to all different types of genres. Um, so I love iTunes. I love Apple Music. Um, I do a lot of streaming on Spotify, which I can download that app and just run it off of any phone, whether it be iOS or Android. But before that came along, it was iTunes. So I feel like iTunes is really what started all this. These different music platforms for people to buy songs and create playlists and all that type of thing. So again, that's another key thing that I like about iPhones and Apple. Um, and then there's the messaging app. If I've got an iPhone and you've got an iPhone and we're texting one another back and forth, then I can't remember what the term that they use for it, but it's a pretty cool feature. It's kind of like instant messaging. You know how you kind of get the messages much faster if I'm texting you and you're texting me, and we both have the Apple devices, as opposed to me having an iPhone and you having an Android phone. So I like that. And then just with the iPhone 7s, I like the stereo speakers, which it's a cool feature. I mean, it's nothing really new to me because I've used so many different Android phones that have had these features. Um, but it's a new addition to the Apple lineup. And of course, the dual camera that they placed on the 7 Plus. It's a great camera. Again, I mean, for Apple users, I mean, that's definitely a reason for you to be excited about the new products. But if you've rocked with Android, you know that is not new technology. Um, and so this is so. With that said, now I'm going to move on to things that I don't like about the iPhone. Apple, they don't take risk. They don't take risk at all. They're so simple, and I feel like they try to play it safe so often to where they rob themselves of opportunities to do something different that may appeal more to their customers. And I mean, I get it. I mean, Apple, they've got a huge fan base. They've got all kind of Apple fanboys and girls out there. So I kind of feel like their products are going to sell no matter what, because the fan base that they've built around this product, I mean, it's tremendous. Um, but again, they don't take risk, and what I mean by that is, if you look at the iPhone 6 and look at the iPhone 7, the difference is, are they really all that major? To me, they're not. To me, they're not really all that major. They're minor, little enhancements here and there. Okay, you got a faster processor, and that's another thing that I like about Apple devices. I mean, the operating system, and there's never any lag. They always seem to perform very well. They're very nice and snappy. Um, they don't really give me problems at all whatsoever. I've never had a phone freeze or shut down or anything like that. Some of the issues that you would experience on certain Android devices. So they're pretty consistent in that particular regard. So I got to give a shout out to Apple in that regard as well. Um, but again, they're just so behind the curve on technology. I mean, I feel like opportunities that they have to try to do something groundbreaking, um, they don't do it. And so for whatever reason, like again, if you look at the iPhone 6, 6S, 6S Pluses, and the sevens, I mean, there's not really that much of a difference. I mean, you've got the faster processor. On the Plus model, you've got a dual camera that's got some excuse me, some good features. Um, and they took away the headphone jack. So I mean, to me, that's an innovative move because as I mentioned in other videos, I'm completely wireless. But then it's just kind of like I don't want to necessarily say you're leaving all the people that like wired connections in the dark because they did put the adapter in the box. But again, I mean, that's just something additional that people are going to have to keep track of if they want to hook their phone into a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. So um, the there's an inconvenience with that, and I feel like a lot of people are more so pissed off about that rather than it being something that they're excited about and they're just like, yeah, okay, this is the future. um so I don't really feel like there's no real innovation with iPhones. I feel like they just play it safe. you know the enhancements are so minor and minute. um and then which leads to the next topic. The phones are just too damn expensive. the, I, what Apple charges for their phones to me are completely not worth it. To me, the iPhones are like three, four, and $500 devices, depending on which gigabyte variant you decide to go with. Um, that's just my personal opinion. Um, Android. I mean, they've set the bar with these $399 price tags. I mean, you've got some very very good phones out there with $399 price tags on them, and they perform just as well as iPhones, if not outperform them. Um, I haven't seen an iPhone $399 yet, even some of the older ones. Um, so again, I mean, that's another thing that I don't really care too much for with the Apple products is just how expensive they are. And for everything that they're offering, they're not really offering much. I mean, they're not really loaded with features like that. You know what I mean? And me personally, I'm a feature guy, so it's like, as soon as I cracked that iPhone 7 open and I got it all set up, I mean, it was just like, all right, well, here we are again. I mean, I just got bored with it very quickly. I mean, there's not really too much you can do with it. You can't really cut. I mean, as far as customizations, I mean, you could, put some, you could put some nice wallpapers on it. But I mean, aside from that, you can't really change anything. You know, um, and so I just think that the phones it's too expensive. The enhancements are pretty lame. Again, if all you rock with is iPhones, then I can see you being excited for some of the new features that the new phone has. But I've had so many iPhones, so many Android phones that have so many different features, and to me, the iPhone is just not cutting it. It's just not cutting it, in my opinion. Um, Another thing that I've noticed about iPhones is I can have an iPhone and I can have, um, actually, I can have an Android phone and I can go to my Play Store and I can download all the apps that I want on my phone. And I've noticed that I can get an iPhone and I can attempt to set up my iPhone, and some of the same apps that I would download on Android, there's a charge for them in the Play Store, or not in the Play Store, but in the um, in the App Store on the Apple phones. So it's like certain apps, I'm getting them for free on Android, but there's a charge for them on Apple. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I mean, I feel like if on one operating system it's free, it should be free on the other operating system. Um, Now that brings up another point too. I mean, different apps seem to function better on certain devices. There's certain apps that I've had on my iPhone that seem to function better on my Android phone, and vice versa. There's certain apps that I would have on my Android phone that would function a little better on my iPhone. So you get a little bit of that going on from time to time. Um, Typical stuff. I think that's just one of the differences between operating systems. Um, but yeah, so those are really my likes and dislikes about iPhones and Apple products. Now, moving on over to Android and some of the things that I like about Android. Hold up, give me some water here. All right. Now, Android phones. This is me. Okay, this is me. I like the complexity of Android phones. Right. I like to play with things. I like a multitude of things to play with. Android versus Apple, there's much more of a learning curve with Android than there is Apple. Now, depending on who you're talking to, that may be good or bad. To me, I like to have different things that I can play with and different things that I have to figure out. I mean, there's just so many more that you can do with Android devices than you can an iPhone. Um, and so I like the complexity and the learning curve of the Android device. Um, it seems to be, I can't think of the word. The word is like right on the tip of my tongue. But I like the complexity of Android. It's not. I mean, it's simple, but it's not too simple, and it has so many different features to where you've got to play with it. You've got to you've got to pull out an instruction manual. I mean, some of these phones. I mean, there's just so much stuff that you can do with them. A lot of the phones I don't even use. You know, half of the capabilities that the phones possess, but it's like if I ever want to use those things, it is good to know that those things are right at my fingertips. As opposed to Apple, they just may not have those features. Um, I like the fact that a lot of Android devices are fully customizable. You can change everything, from wallpapers to launchers. You can change literally everything. I like that freedom that Android gives its customers to basically do what you want with your phone, to personalize it, really make it your own. You know what I mean? As opposed to Apple, I mean, what type of differences? I mean, what people are going to have different wallpapers, different colors. Maybe they got some pictures from their photo gallery, on their as their wallpaper or something like that. I mean, but if you get two people side by side, their phones are going to look exactly the same. As opposed to two people that have Android devices that have completely taken full advantage of the fact that they can fully customize their device and did so. I mean, you could have two of the same Android phones side by side owned by different people and look completely different. That is dope to me. That's a dope feature to have. Um, so you know, shout out to Android for being fully customizable. Um, Another like with Android, leader in innovation, right? Leader in innovation. Dealing with Android phones, I have seen some of the best, some of the dopest innovations that there is in mobile phones, in mobile tech. And I've had several different cell phones in my life. I'm 30, I just turned 38 years old, people. I've had a cell phone since I was like 19. You know what I mean? I mean, technology's come a long way, especially in the mobile world. So I mean, just from different phone designs, um, different features, dust and water resistance, dual speakers, cameras, um, you know, video recording, um, just all types of different features. And that's another thing that I like about Android. There's so many different manufacturers that are making Android devices that are all bringing something different to the table. Now, a lot of these phones, a lot of them do the same things, but they do them differently. So, that's a plus because if you're just somebody that's just into stock Android, which is just Android, just bare bones, then you've got options for that. You know what I mean? There's phones out there that are for you to where if you just want a bare bone Android experience, I mean, there's phones out there that you can get that will offer you that if you don't want all the features and the bells and whistles. But if you want the features and the bells and whistles, I mean, you've got your LGs, you've got your Samsungs. Look at the Note 7. I mean, even though we still are hearing instances about batteries exploding. Even after the replacement phones have been distributed, I mean, as far as features, I mean, the Note 7 has to be right now just the cream of the crop as far as features in my book. But then you got a lot of other devices, Android devices, that have a lot of good features as well that people can take advantage of. So, that's what I say. I mean, a lot of the stuff that Apple considers new that they're putting in their devices that Apple fanboys and girls are getting excited about. I get bored with these things quickly because being an Android user, I mean, Android has done this stuff long ago. You know what I mean? So it's just like a lot of these new innovations that Apple is putting into their phones, like the 7s and the 7 Plus. It's just like, wow, Apple, you're starting to catch on. You're starting to catch up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Oh, okay, your phone is IP67 dust and water resistant now. Okay, well, Android been there, done that. Oh, your Plus phone has a dual camera now. Android been there, done that. I mean, you know what, the Huawei P9. I mean, I'm recording this video right now on my Huawei Honor 8. The Huawei Honor 8 has also dual 12 megapixel cameras, and it's a damn good camera. It is a very good camera. The LG G5, the V20, dual cameras, or the V10. I mean, I know the V20 is coming. I mean, I'm looking forward to that. So you guys stay tuned for that unboxing and impressions and review for that. But a lot of the stuff that Apple is doing, Android, it's like they done been there and done that. You know what I mean? So me, it's like when I crack open and a new iPhone, it's just like, well, I'm just getting just some of the same stuff that I had before, and it's just nothing really to get excited about. Again, I understand Apple fanboys and girls getting excited because this is all they've rocked with, especially if they've never had an Android experience. But I mean, as far as leading innovation, Android is where it's at, hands down. This water is, man. Next. Another thing I like about Android devices, you've got different price variants. And what I mean with that is, like I mentioned, I mean, there's so many different companies that make Android devices. There's companies that have made Android phones that I've never even heard of before. And they're all at different price points. So you literally can choose a budget and say to yourself, I want an Android phone and I want one that's got, moderate bells and whistles, not too much. Just have all the stuff that I'm going to use and maybe a little something to play with, here and there. There's different phones for different budgets that are still offering people what they want. So you don't have to worry about getting a phone, that because it's inexpensive, it's not going to have what you want. You've got OnePlus 3, you've got the ZTE Axon 7, you've got the Alcatel Auto 4S, you've got the Huawei Honor 8, what else? I feel like I'm leaving out something. You've got blue, you've got the blue Pure XL or XR, that's $299. And and there's just there's a lot of other phones like the Umi Plus 4G, that's $199. And this is like a flagship, a flagship Android smartphone. I mean, from the build quality to the cameras, fingerprint sensor, the processor. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, there's so many different, companies that are making phones with Android at all these different price points to give people what they want. You don't have to go out and spend a bunch of money, for a lot of the stuff that you want in a phone, and you can be completely happy with it. As opposed to Apple, you may spend damn near $1,000 and you may not even have everything that you want or need. You know what I mean? So just imagine if say like the amount of manufacturers that make Android phones, if we had the same amount of manufacturers or the same manufacturers made phones for iOS and just the different features that they may have. Now that would be dope. That would be dope. But I think that one of the things is that since Apple, only Apple makes iPhones, you know. So as far as any real innovation, it's like you depend solely on what Apple is going to do next. And I mean, they've shown, that they're pretty happy with what they're doing with their device, um, and they're basically sticking to that. I mean, me, I'm all about the bells and the whistles and the innovation, um, which is one of the main reasons why I rock more so with Android. Again, not to knock anybody that rocks with Apple. I like both operating systems, but I feel like I like the Android operating system more because it offers more. Um, it has more features and things, more bells and whistles to play with. I mean, there's things to get excited about and keep me excited about. I feel like I'm always constantly learning something about my phone. I mean, this Honor 8 phone, I mean, I've had it since launch date. It's been about a month and a half or something like that, and I'm still learning things about this phone. I feel like every day, every other day, I'm learning something different about this phone, and I'm just like, wow, the more I learn about it, the more that I like it. Like for me, to me, the Huawei Honor 8, to me, in my opinion, is the best out of the whole 399 lineup. You know, and like I said, I mean, some may consider that to be a bold statement, but I mean, that's just my personal opinion. I really like this phone. It's my daily driver. Um, and so, but again, I mean, the other 399ers, 399ers, I've created a word, and a lot of the other 399ers, excellent phones. Excellent. Um, and so again, I've said this in previous videos. I mean, that 399 price tag just really set the bar for me. Um, and I agree with, you know, some of the other, big YouTubers that are doing videos and reviews. I mean, like, Jay Will, Flossie Carter, Marquez Brownlee, Pocket Now. Man, shout out to all you guys, man. But, some of you guys have said, if you're paying more than $400 for a phone, it ain't worth it. It ain't worth it. I mean, you're just paying for a name. It's the proof is in the pudding. You can go and spend $400 on a phone unlocked, so that you're not bound to a carrier, and you can have all the features that you can ever want and need. You know what I mean? So, um, yeah, and one thing about Apple, I don't like the publicity stunts. Apple, I don't like it. When we sit back and we watch your keynote, and you tell us that the iPhone 7 is going to be available on this date in its entirety, and then you go to the store and only the 4.7 inch is available, but the pluses are nowhere to be found, and there's this stipulation with the plus that you have to order it online, and then if you try to put an order in for pre-order, then you're being told that you're not going to get it for like a month and a half or 2 months. It's like, yo, I start to lose interest in a device. You know what I mean? And so it's just like, right now, I mean, I want to get my hands on a plus just mainly for the sake of review. But I mean, I feel like at this point, I've already reviewed the 7, and I mean, it's not really that much of a difference. And there's several people that have already reviewed the plus. So, I'm waiting on that V20. I'm really waiting on that V20. And I know that, lots of times these videos, they get back to these manufacturers. LG, you guys need to quit dragging your heels on this V20 because it's losing steam. It's losing steam. I've heard about the V20 a while ago, and it still isn't here. A lot of people are excited about this phone. A lot of people are talking about it. But the longer that it takes to come out, that's going to start to fizzle away, more so than it already has. So, I do like, how Apple 1 week, they did the keynote. The next week, the phone was available for pre-order. The week after, the phone was out. You know what I mean? It was kind of like the same thing with the Note 7. I mean, Samsung, they did their press release. They announced the phone, and then shortly after, the phone, it was out. So I like that. I mean, all this teasing us with, giving us all these, these rumors or these facts and specs on the phone, and then it's just like you're holding on to it. It's like, why? Get it out there so we can get our hands on it. But yeah, so these are my opinions on Apple, Android. Again, this wasn't to offend anybody. If you like this video, you want to comment, please do. Click that like button down below if you like the video. I've got much more content to come. I've already done some good reviews on a really great products, and so you guys can check those out as well. They'll be down below. And yeah, just shoot me any comments, any questions, any feedback on this particular topic. I mean, this is a major topic, and a lot of people are very passionate about the devices that they choose. I've gotten into some pretty heated like arguments, and I'm cool. I'm laid back, and so I don't get my feathers ruffled by differences in thought processes and opinions. But some people do. Some people, their emotions are attached to the device in which they feel is best, and if you say that it's not the best, or you don't feel it's the best because you feel like what you have is the best and it's different from what they have, then oh man, some people they get really defensive. But this isn't to cause any drama. This is just for discussion's sake. So yeah, let's talk about it. What do you guys think? What operating system have you chosen and why? Again, this is your boy, Mr. Pristine. Stay tuned. Much more videos like this one to come. And I'll talk to you guys in the next video. In the meantime, stay blessed, stay safe, and definitely stay pristine. Peace, y'all.